The Trump veepstakes is hitting the next level. The campaign requesting paperwork from these 8 potential vice presidential candidates. The names range from South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, Dr. Ben Carson, and Senator Tom Cotton. But that short list may be even shorter. Sources tell Fox that these are the top 3 contenders: North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, Senators Marco Rubio, and J.D. Vance. Brian, I did call the campaign and verify that you're not on the list. So you you're not on the list. So okay. You can let that pressure. You can let it go now.
Okay, good. Because someone's vetting me. I didn't know who was doing that. I guess it must have been Jesse. All right. So I sidekick. So I would say this: the guy that's surging is Doug Burgum. Him and the president, even though they're different personalities, they truly get along. I think he respects his knowledge in business. I think if he's not VP, he's going to be Secretary of Energy. There's no question. I think the big test is those Sunday shows. When he goes on, they go into adverse conditions, troubling situations in CBS, ABC, Meet the Press, and they go in and they take the fire and how they acted. The guy that's the best is Tom Cotton. The second best is Rubio. The guy that's coming on strong is Doug Burgum. They tried to say he's demanding billions of dollars from the oil industry. He said, excuse me, I was there, to Margaret Brennan. He didn't demand anything, and she had nothing to say. Trump loves that stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, so Jesse, I have talked to a few people who've said that in this process, they're looking for someone who can take what they believe will be a successful second Trump term through 28 and then win the election for president then. So who would qualify in this instance?
That's tough. And someone who's not Trump's VP might have a better shot of running as the Republican nominee and taking on Gavin Newsom instead of within the Trump administration. Maybe. Chemistry, I agree. I think Burgum has the best chemistry. He was there during the verdict day for 2 hours with Don Jr. and the president. They get along great. The top 3, no one has drama. And that's what I like. They're all vetted professionals. Rubio might add a little to the ticket just because of the Hispanic Cuban to put that flavor, as Trump-Rubio maybe brings something to the table. Ideologically, Vance probably is most in simpatico with the America First movement. But I don't know. Burgum, he always goes with central casting. He does look like a vice president.
He does.
But who knows?
He's a tough guy.
Who knows?
So, Judge, I thought the Elise Stefanik movement may be interesting given New York and what the president has been doing in this state and his ideas about winning. But what do you think about the list that's becoming shorter?
Well, I think, honestly, when I looked at the list, I said, first of all, is anyone from the swing states, the 7 swing states? None of the top 3 are, and it's definitely among the top 3. And I think that the point that you were trying to make is a real one, and that is that Donald Trump wants someone who will continue his legacy, who will continue to carry the torch. And I think that that person has an opportunity, Jesse, during those 4 years to portray himself as presidential. Whomever it is, it doesn't matter. All of them are better than Kamala, but that's another issue. Trump actually got more Hispanic votes in Florida than Rubio did. And, you know, J.D. Vance is good, but I really think it's Burgum. I do. I mean, I met him several times. He is, there's something about him that he just seems like a straight shooter.
Do you think Trump made the decision already?
Do I? I have no idea.
I don't think he knows yet, but they're probably getting close. So, Harold, what about that contrast between the top 3 choices and the current vice president?
So ordinarily, VP choices are great for the first 24 hours. You get a focus on the campaign, intense focus. You focus on the most positive things about the person who's chosen, their family, their accomplishments in life. The most positive, the most favorable light, as we would say in the legal world, is shined on that person in the campaign. And then they kind of fade into the background. I think this election, 2 issues that really are not always important in presidential races, one is the VP choice and 2 is foreign policy, will emerge as more important issues. And you have to think about the merging of the 2 when you think about the kinds of challenges we're facing around the globe, whether it's energy security to what's happening in the Middle East and all in between and around. So if I was a nominee for president and I had to pick my VP nominee, a lot of those things would be circulating in my mind. I don't know Doug Burgum. I've met Marco Rubio a few times. I've never met J.D. Vance. I'm surprised there's only one woman on the list. I think when you look at the issues that populate the voters' minds, border security, abortion, the economy, maybe Burgum has because he's a business person. But, you know, he's not going to call me and ask me. You didn't tell me. I know I'm not on the list, so I assume that you heard that also from your sources.
Well, you're not a Republican, so maybe for Joe Biden.
But my only point is, I think it's interesting. Those names, those would not have been names I would have put at the top of his list 4 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago. And it's interesting that he is settling, if these reports are right, that these are the 3 that he has settled on. So
And
We shall see.
No Tulsi either.
Tell him the name
We're
that you're
getting close
scared
to
of
the convention,
most.
so.
Who's the name that you're scared of most if he puts on the ticket?
Emma Waters.
No, stop. Not her.
Okay.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.